Hey, thanks once again. Second time is the charm, and a little different from 6 years ago in the old studio.
Yeah,
A few more people down here.
a few more, yeah.
It looks and sounded great. So let's talk about Lovers and Leavers, your fifth studio album. And some people have said it's the best work you've done yet.
Well,
How do you feel about it?
I'm proud of it. It was the record I felt like I needed to make at that time of my life, and it's hard to compare to other stuff. They're all my children, and they're all sort of representative of different times in my life. But this one I felt more so than any other. I just kind of let go of any idea of it, anything outside of telling the story that I was living at that time. And so just not worrying about certain things that maybe in the past had consumed me a little bit. A lot of it was influenced by, like I said, my life at the time, which involved my wife and I separating, ultimately getting divorced, and then starting a new relationship, and a lot of ups and downs. And so probably about half the record touches on that stuff, the hopefulness of a future relationship and the sadness of one ending. And so it covers a couple sides of the love equation. What was interesting for me about this record was I was writing with an intention and purpose that I hadn't really had before. In the past, I loved words, I loved songwriters, and I just kind of put my antenna up, and things would kind of come to me in a way, and I got lucky in that I was able to translate that into a song that made some level of sense to people or connected with some people. But I didn't really often sit down and say, this is something that I'm going through, or this is something that I want to talk about, and I'm going to write it. It's just stuff would come, and I would kind of make it make sense. And with this record, I was much more intentional with, trying to write about certain things, whether it was my son and sort of how I admired the chances he took and the fearlessness he had and his creative endeavors, or about the ending of my relationship or the start of a new one. I was trying to tell these specific stories and kind of get these emotions across, and that was much more challenging than just catching the rhyme or the inspiration came in a different way. I have been doing more co-writing, and that story I told about Guy, he was one of the first guys that I ever got to write with was Guy Clark, and Ray Wiley Hubbard was the other, and I learned a lot from both of them, and I started out just writing songs by myself. I didn't know that was a thing, that you got together and wrote songs with other people, and with each record I kind of started doing it more and more, and with this one, like I said, I was trying to access a side, use tools that I hadn't really used before, and get things across in a way that I hadn't ever done before. And I found it really helpful to sit down with other writers and kind of get out of my comfort zone, and they really helped me see things in a different way. And so whether it was Jack Ingram or Daryl Scott or Allison Moore or J.D. Souther, Jim Lauderdale, there was such a long list of people that helped me out with this, and they helped me kind of find my voice in a way and articulate things that I wasn't sure I could articulate.
That's a pretty impressive list of songwriters right there.
Well, it was. I was very fortunate to, there were some guys that I hadn't met before, and just kind of ended up together, and some that were friends like Jack or Daryl. And then some, like J.D. Souther, we'd never met either, and it was kind of one of those things where you're sitting down in a room with somebody who's in the Songwriting Hall of Fame, and it can be intimidating no matter what you've done in your life, but it was really cool. It was amazing to watch him throw out a verse or find a melody, and then you go, okay, that's why you're in the songwriting. That's why you're a legend, because you can do that. And so it definitely gave me something to strive for, and yeah, it was very helpful. I think this record is different than anything I had ever done, and I was more able to get sonically a consistent theme and kind of create a time and place and tell a story in a way that I hadn't been able to tell before. And part of that was just letting go of micromanaging stuff in the past, and I'm talking more on the production end now. But in the past, I wanted, I want to have a rockin' tune people can dance to, and I want to have a sad song. I want to have this, and I felt like I was checking boxes, and I would write a lot of songs, and then but just try and have a little bit of everything. And with here, I just wanted to tell a story, and so for me, it was overcoming those fears for myself of, well, nobody's going to like it. Nobody's going to, that I was going to lose fans that I had made in the past. And so that was one element of it. I was just kind of overcoming those fears. And then I think I also was able to write in a way with the help of these songwriters that was, I wasn't trying to be cute. I wasn't trying hard to be clever. I was just trying to express an emotion, and I'd always kind of hidden that a little bit. I had I think emotional songs and things that touched on deep and real subjects or experiences, but I'd always been a little scared of letting that just stand alone. I could play something that was slow or deep or a story song, but then I always wanted to follow it up with something with a whole different energy, and the fear that I would lose people, and with this I just kind of stuck with the story and expressed emotions and in a way that I hadn't before. And Daryl Scott is a great example of that, and it's somebody that I wrote 3 songs on this record with him, and there were so many things where I would try and come up with a clever phrase and something cute, and he would say, well, what do you feel? What are you trying to say? And I would say it, and he goes, that's your lyric. You don't need to go over here and look at this, and sometimes you can just say what's in your heart, and it was a bit of a realization for me. It probably sounds weird, but I'd always been kind of scared to let that part out, and I think that's where a lot of the good stuff is. In the past, I think a lot of my stuff I projected like it could be somebody else. Maybe I was singing first person, but I put it in a way that people might be able to say, well, he's talking about this guy, or that's not really him. And with this record, I had laid it bare in a way that I hadn't done before, and that was scary and not, there wasn't just not the distractions that I'd had in the past, but yeah, just speaking from the heart and telling a story as it happened and not creating it.